It's titled The Evolution of Cinema, so just describes the evolution of cinema and how it's changed, I guess.
He actually uses quite a few key terms throughout the book. He refers to like plastics, which sort of
overcomplicates.
Yeah, overcomplicates things. It talks about sort of the makeup and the lighting, the artificial lighting on set.
Well, he likes to talk about the fact that, you know, starting off even in the 1920s, really, that different directors had their beliefs or faiths, as he says, in either image or reality.
Yeah, I mean, he talks about the image, which is like everything that the sort of like the representation of the screen.
So image being like there's a reality. So there's what you see as the audience as being fake and reproduced. But then he talks about other directors would rather create an image in which sort of like all the plastics involved to create the person as being sort of this sort of big image, and you sort of get engrossed by the image as opposed to the reality that is a film. He then looks at montage and editing, doesn't he? Yeah, I think that changed quite a lot. He was saying progressing into, well, even from silent films to when they started recording sound, montage was quite key into what they're trying to represent, really. It's all changed along with technology as well. The fact that, you know, we can get so much closer in things.
Yeah, he actually talks about 3 types of montage. There's parallel montage, accelerated montage, and montage by attraction or attraction by montage. Yeah, and parallel montage is sort of the usual, trying to display 2 events sort of happening simultaneously. And it's sort of used, quick sort of shots, side by side, cutaways. And then sort of montage by attraction was used quite sort of prominently in early film, especially silent film, and it's basically talking about sort of reinforcing sort of the memories and sort of ideologies of an image. And it's used in that early film with the baby, Battleship Potemkin, as well.
That's a good example.
Especially the bit with the baby in the pram going down the steps, and that's obviously that's influenced like other films like the Untouchables.
Yeah, well, he talks. I think the key thing he sort of puts forward is that although technology's changed, and especially with that German director who sort of broke barriers, pioneered the way through with making the camera move, with zooming in, sort of the he did it physically, didn't he? So he went with the camera manually and to zoom in and stuff. That pushed barriers in technique and technology. But montage was still the same. Montage was always key in what they created, really, wasn't it? It was sort of key in cinema, and the way it evolved was because of technology. It evolved through, the decisions you can make. So this parallel thing, the fact that you can show 2 images at once, in some cases, it's all sort of changed the way montage works, and that is how cinema's evolved, really. I'd say he talks a lot towards the end of the book about the use of depth of field, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He talks about the fact that, those that use depth of field and the creation of depth of field with new technologies and new cameras and new lenses, he said that in terms of relating to the image and reality, that the depth of field puts that character in depth and helps the audience to relate to that representation and that image created. So it eliminates reality, the reality of what's being filmed, and helps use the audience to relate to the image created and relate to what's going on.
It's used in Citizen Kane with the scene where the child's playing outside and the camera sort of makes its way through into the house whilst another scene is occurring.
Yeah.
Which is quite famous, that scene for that happening.
But I think the key analysis and theory he uses is that obviously cinema has changed quite dramatically
Actually,
in many ways through technology, but at the same time it's kept the same. It's kept the same motives of using montage, using image, using plastics. They're all very, very similar key parts of cinema, but create these good films. So at the same time as there's evolution, there's also this sort of underlying theme that he likes to use.
Yeah.
Do we agree?
Do we agree?
Yes and no, really. Quite a lot to take in.
Yeah, certainly technology has evolved to an extent that, look at the original cut for Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, where Yoda was actually still a puppet, and but only a year ago now, when it was released in the Blu-ray version and special edition version, he was actually converted into a CGI Yoda, which was used throughout the prequel trilogy. So obviously technology has evolved so much that it's allowing filmmakers to sort of push the boundaries and be able to create these fantastic sort of set pieces.
In terms of cinema, I think I disagree that, as you said, the evolution of technology has increased quite rapidly within the past 10, 20 years. But at the same time, I think he's right in saying that cinema hasn't evolved massively. You still see similar techniques within editing and similar techniques within quite a lot of films prior to the new Phantom Menace with editing. It definitely has an effect on you as a viewer engaging with the image. But in terms of the editing, I'd say it hasn't massively changed. It's quite similar.
It's the same with photography as well. Photography really hasn't changed since the 50s.
I'll go for a pint with him. No, I've got other people on my list first, I'd say.
Yeah. He's not a very interesting man.
No, he's too big of words. Way too big of words.
Yeah, you'd have to crack out a dictionary.
Yeah, words are not. Yeah. I'd rather keep it simple, keep it funny.
Yeah.
I like to be amused. Probably depress me so much as well.
Depress me doing this interview, really.
Yeah, this interview, really. Sorry, this interview's not really done it for me. Would you? Yeah, I would actually. I would. All jokes aside, I would probably recommend it. Just so you've got an idea. Well, you can debate as well, can't you? What you think of how it's changed and whether or not it should be changed in the future. I think a lot of up and coming filmmakers need to sort of have that theory, sort of running out of ideas in terms of plot lines. Do you move it into keeping those plots but changing things? Like, why do they always choose to remake good films? Why do they do that? They choose to they find a film that was good and then they remake it again. Spider-Man, remake that, brilliant. Like, why don't they choose the films that didn't do too well, remake those and make them better? That's what they should be doing.
I suppose sort of the point really is that there is no originality in Hollywood. And I would recommend the book to media students. I think it has the terminology and sort of his ideologies do make sense in a way. Yeah. As a sort of exciting piece of literature, no, don't read it ever.
Read Lord of the Rings or something.
Yeah.
Just not this.
Just
don't read it before bed as well.
Yeah, because you will fall asleep.
Yeah.
Like, out of it.
Drink a few coffees. Yeah, just make sure you're on top of your game.
Yeah.
Focused. Cool, that's it. Is that? Excellent. Right. Cool.
That should be, right?
I reckon we've got about 3 minutes.